All right, as usual, we've got plenty of line movement here in the NBA in this late afternoon edition of the NBA update here on WagerTalk TV. How many of you are running to the window right now, loving the Portland Trailblazers or the Charlotte Hornets? If you are even remotely raising your hand right now, you need to seek some help. Perhaps there's an intervention coming around very shortly to where you are at. But welcome in. A very happy Wednesday to you here. Joe Raineri alongside the one and only Bryan Power, BP in the house, as well as RC Ronald Cabang here on another loaded card here in the NBA. Obviously, a lot of double-digit games going on here tonight. We got plenty. We're going to go some line movement here already. We did just get word with the Lakers and the Wizards that it does look like, in fact, Kyle Kuzma is going. Johnny Davis is still listed as questionable. Rashawn Holmes still questionable, but from what I understand, he was at the shoot-around, so he should be good to go. Cam Reddish, Gabe Vincent, ready to rock and roll here for the Lakers. And I am not seeing an Anthony Davis or a LeBron James on the second of a back-to-back, any sort of injury designation. I'm still seeing 12.5s, and I am seeing the total creep up with Kuzma, and I would imagine the total was going to go up there. 235 right now here, BP. Tell me, this game here, Lakers have been playing tremendous basketball. I get why the total's going up here, but it would have to be Lakers or pass, or unless you think there's some value here with the Wizards tonight.
No, I don't think there's any value with the Wizards, and it would be Lakers or pass. Here's the thing. We talk about it on the show every time. With these bad teams, what's their motivation? Is there any motivation? Well, with the Wizards tonight, they just beat Milwaukee. So are we really to believe a Wizards team with nothing to play for, a Wizards team that stinks, quite frankly, we all understand that, is going to try 2 nights in a row? And the Lakers have all the reason in the world to try. They want to, improve their current standing in the Western Conference. They're going to be in the play-in round. They can host Golden State, is the way things would be as the standings are now. And the Lakers, you mentioned how they've been playing recently, Joe, against teams in the bottom third of the league. They've really dominated. They've won all 5 of those games since the All-Star break, outscoring those opponents by 13.1 points per 100 possessions. We've done these shows many times before together, Joe. People have quoted this. Double-digit road favorites this time of year. You wouldn't think that's a value spot, but it traditionally has been a value spot. So, it's Lakers or pass. I just can't see the Wizards turning in 2 quality efforts in back-to-back nights.
Oh, you mean like they looked last night? I mean, how disgusting was that, RC? Like, what is wrong with you, Milwaukee? That's shameful. Absolutely shameful. They should get their NBA designation pulled from them for losing that game. But this is now the Lakers' 3rd game in 4 nights. No rest. But again, if you were playing anybody else other than the Wizards, I mean, you might be looking at this differently, but are you thinking Anthony Davis, LeBron, one or maybe both, all of a sudden shows up late and's like, I got a hemorrhoid, I stubbed my toe. Any chance of that happening here tonight?
No, I think from what I've seen, they're on track to play tonight. Is what I saw on Twitter. Some of those sites or whatever, but. Both of these teams really in these travel fatigue spots, fatigue spots. You mentioned 3rd game in 4 nights, 4th and 6th, back end of back-to-backs as well. I think one way to target this, if you don't trust the Lakers to cover this big number, is to look at the over. I'm looking at their over trends right now from a situational standpoint. 24, 12, and 1 to the over in the first half. In road games, 23 and 14 to the over in the road games for the full game in general. And if you just look at the last 10 games, their pace stats, Lakers, I think they're top 5 in pace. I believe top 3 in pace. The Wizards are top 5 in pace as well. So they're pushing the pace, a lot of fast break points. They're not really defending the 3 that well either, from what I see here. So, I mean, in my opinion, this could be a track meet. they could be shooting from three and converting pretty easily here on both sides of the ball. More so on the Lakers side than the Wizards side, in my opinion. But yeah, I would look towards some type of over, maybe even look towards the Lakers team total over, because in these double-digit road situations, they could just not really care to play defense, knowing that they could just outscore this team pretty easily. So I would look towards an over or a Lakers team total over in this game.
Yeah, no, it's a great point there, RC, because the Lakers, if they've done one thing really well all years, it's beat up on the hot ass teams here. And I would think the Wizards fit into that hot ass category. Speaking of which, BP, I believe you came up with something else here on this game, did you? Yes. How was that for a lead-in? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll take a compliment from you, Joe, anytime I can get it. I feel this show is steadily building to a hot-ass segment. But something we need to talk about with the Lakers here. Yes, it is their third game in 4 nights, second of a back-to-back. But remember, they destroyed Toronto last night. Davis didn't even play in the fourth quarter, and LeBron came out pretty early in the fourth quarter as well. So, I'm not as concerned with the spot with the Lakers as I would be with the Wizards, a team that obviously, as we've all said now and are in agreement, is hot ass and is not likely to play well for a second straight night.
Yeah, actually, I'm being told in the chat room, by the way, and shout out to those of you joining us live here on this afternoon update on this Wednesday. I think Cam Shabazz likes the Wizards team total over, which goes to what you're talking about, RC, with a track meet going on here tonight. There are going to be points. Let's be realistic. That is absolutely what we can expect here. A life in Vegas is the Wizards have been screwing me on both sides this season. Feels like Bryan Power, the same thing. I kind of feel that. 18-5 straight up, though, against those teams that are in the bottom half of the league here. The Lakers should be able to get theirs, as should Kuzma and the Wizards here, feeling pretty good after that win last night. All right, another game coming in here, starting to see a little bit of line movement here. Let's just say it and get it out of the way here, because the contrarian gods do have their eye on a game coming up here, interestingly enough. But we are seeing this Portland-Charlotte game, and you brought it up off air there, BP. This line has moved. -2 was an open for Charlotte. Now it is, well, it's a pick 'em. I'm hoping maybe they just cancel the game, because this should set basketball back about 300 years. This game, I can't name 3 people on the Portland Trailblazers right now. I'm not sure if you can, but tell me, the market obviously loves themselves some Trailblazers, because they've been betting them all damn morning long as a pick 'em now. In this, do you know anything about this game and why it would be? I mean, the list is ridiculous of who's in and who's out here.
Look, the fact that Charlotte would open as a favorite tells you all you need to know about the Portland Trailblazers right now. Unless if you're getting one of like a new sportsbook bonus sign up that specifically says we'll give you $50 to bet on this game or whatever, you can't bet this game. These two teams, who knows what the effort level is going to be? I'll say this from a scheduling standpoint, things are kind of in Charlotte's favor. This is their 5th straight game at home. Portland's in the middle of this trip out east. I mean, what in the world would possess the Blazers, who are just decimated, have one of the worst starting lineups in NBA history right now, to care? I mean, they lost by 60 at Miami a few days ago, and then they did come close. I believe that was the contrarian gods play the last time I was on the show on Monday against Orlando. They were getting the big number, 16.5. But their offense, Joe, my goodness. I mean, this is a team that's hardly averaging a point per possession on this road trip. So no thanks on either side. And by the way, Charlotte has a lot of injury concerns too, so I wouldn't be in a rush to back them. This is the easiest pass on the board. I'm actually ashamed that I spoke for so long about a game that I would have no desire.
Yeah, I was going to say you actually dribbled on far too long with this ass game. And matter of fact, catch you slipping in big caps. Oh, this game is trash. Yes, that's hot ass. That's what we call this game here, RC. Interesting fact, though, as well, I believe they're throwing out. Javi Cash is showing up at the 0-4, the Hornets, as a favorite this year, he believes. It doesn't happen often, and when it does, it's usually in a losing effort here. But I think it's the injury concerns across the board. Miles Bridges, Brandon Miller, Grant Williams, Michik, they're all doubtful. So this is literally a G League game, RC, one that is going to be absolutely disgusting. But let's talk about this Milwaukee Bucks team here, who came off of that awful game last night against Washington. They are, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, now we're seeing, it opened up at 13 this morning. I'm starting to see 12s in there. So maybe the Memphis Grizz catching a little bit of love in the market. We know that Lillard is out, if I'm not mistaken. Middleton also going to be out unless there was an update there. No, Middleton, Patrick Beverley, and Damian Lillard have now been ruled out, which would Desmond Bane also out for Memphis. So what do you do with this, RC? I mean, you would think the Bucks should bounce back in a pretty good effort, but how much faith do you have in them without those three guys?
Yeah, no, it's the Bucks here, you would think that they would bounce back off of a loss, but I'm looking at their record right now. Off of a loss, 18-9 straight up, 11-16 ATS. So it's not like it's a consistent, cover rate off of these losses. And then you come to you add on the fact that they're on the second leg of back-to-back games. I'm just not too sure if they're really, in a position to try all that hard in this game. 12.5 seems like a lot, and you've seen this Grizzlies team. No matter who they have on the roster, when they were double-digit dogs throughout the middle of this season, they covered at a pretty decent rate, in my opinion. Obviously, they're going to be missing a lot more pieces again, but there's nothing new to them. So I don't know, man. This is, for me, this is a complete stay-away game. There's just not a lot of instances where I feel like the Bucks really have to try to win this game, especially late in the season. I mean, maybe they just do enough to win, but not cover this big number. They got to save themselves for the playoffs. They know that they're in. And the Grizzlies, a lot of those guys, they're just fighting for a roster spot for next season. So they got something to play for. Bucks, really, is there really? I don't know. Maybe there's just not enough for them to fight for right now because they got that playoff spot that they need.
It does kind of feel like all of a sudden the injuries are starting to pop up here. I mean, if Memphis had Desmond Bane tonight, maybe it would give him a shooter's chance here. But I, for one, Bryan Power, am so glad they fired Griffin midseason there like they did, because obviously the Doc Rivers effect really grabbed a hold of this team. They have just been outstanding ever since he came into the fold. I am sure they're very happy with the results, but it's still a big number for a team that just sucked against Washington last night. There's no way we can lay this thing, right?
Exactly. You read my mind. I was going to make fun of Glenn Rivers myself. How shambolic was the Bucks defense last night, guys? They let the Wizards go 35 of 48 in the paint, give up 1.5 points per play in transition. That is absolutely atrocious. And so that narrative that Doc was going to come in and fix the defense is simply not true. It's kind of funny. The Bucks played their best basketball of the year in those 3 games under the interim. I thought like that's when they actually were playing some defense and doing all right. Yeah, you can't lay this with the Bucks. You can't trust them. I would lean towards the over, if not for the fact that I just simply don't trust Memphis's offense at all. This was a team a couple games ago. They only scored 88 against Orlando. Now, Orlando's at the opposite end of the defensive spectrum from Milwaukee. Orlando's is an elite defensive team, but I just don't trust Memphis to score enough points to help send this one over, especially if it does turn into a blowout. The game's going to slow down in the fourth quarter, and you might get screwed in that situation. So, yeah, again, this is a pretty easy pass for me. I know that is the dirtiest word here on WagerTalk TV.
Randy Poss has got a great comment. Yeah, that was about as Swiss flag as it gets there, BP. One more of those, and your ass is suspended. I will say this, though. The Randy Poss, he's got a fire Doc chant going on in the chat room right there. So, Vanny, outstanding stuff. why not at this point? It would just be like Griffin's there anyway. They still suck on defense, so it's not really helping anybody at any time soon. So we are off of that game officially. The contrarian gods, by the way, have called in here. They heard BP was on the show, so and RC, and I have a feeling RC and the contrarian gods are going to be on the same page here. But they are looking at the Brooklyn Nets here tonight at home, catching 7.5. This thing has been going back and forth the whole day. In fact, it started to creep up, then it would get bought back down. Miles Turner is questionable here for the Pacers. Nobody outside of that for Brooklyn, outside, I believe, of Dennis Smith, is still questionable here. But what are you thinking, RC, here with the Brooklyn Nets tonight at home, catching a touchdown or more? 230.5 is that total as well. How are you looking at this one?
Yeah, these back-to-backs are really tough, especially when they're going from home to road. But obviously, I mean, Brooklyn, are they going to be Are they really motivated right now to win a game? I'm not too sure. They're also playing their third game in 4 nights, fourth game in 6. But from a matchup perspective, it seems like it seems like it seems like Pacers should be able to run away with this. But they do. I mean, they got Oklahoma on deck. Are they looking ahead really? I don't know. They just beat this team by 22. Potentially not really caring about this game and looking ahead to Oklahoma, see how they match up against one of the top tier teams in the West. I mean, that's the only thing that I could think of that would be on the Brooklyn side here is they catch a team that's not really focused. They can make, they can shoot the 3-pointer. That's one thing that they have on their side. Other than that, I don't really see anything else that would be a positive from an offensive standpoint. So I don't know, that it's a tough one. But if they're going to be able to make their 3-pointers today, that might be the way that they cover this line.
Ooh, well, we know they're going to chuck them up, though, don't we, RC? They're going to get theirs. I'm kind of shocked that the total hasn't started to creep up a little bit, too, kind of holding steady there at 230.5. It could be BP. What do you think? Are you in the contrarian gods corner here, thinking maybe, listen, Indiana should win, but Indiana should have won a lot of games like this here, and they don't. So what are you thinking here?
Well, first thing I want to share with this game. So not only did Brooklyn just lose to Indiana the last time out, they're 0-2 against them over the last month. You look at the box scores of those two games. I don't know if I've ever seen this before. I'm not even being prone to hyperbole. This is truly something I can't remember ever seeing. In those two games, Indiana was plus 44 in field goal attempts. That's seismic. How do you in two games have 44 more field goal attempts than your opponent? No wonder they've won by 20 both times. Now, you keep looking at the box score. Brooklyn turned the ball over a lot, both those games. They turned it over 15 and 20 times in those two games. But still, 44 extra field goal attempts. They've averaged 104 field goal attempts, Indiana, in those two games. That's insane. When you have a matchup like this, two teams playing a back-to-back, I typically do like to look at the loser of the first time. There's some value. But Brooklyn, let's be honest, they're not getting that last play. I think they're technically still alive, but the magic number might be 1 for Atlanta to clinch. So, I mean, Brooklyn, I think, would have to do something insane like win out and have, Chicago and have either Chicago or Atlanta lose the rest of their games. That's not going to happen. So, yeah, you do have to question if the motivation's there for the Nets. Indiana, we know how they play, guys. 100 miles an hour. If the field goal attempts are more even here, I absolutely could see an overhitting yet again between these two teams. It's a couple points higher than it was 2 days ago, but that's not a surprise because Indiana dropped 133 and the game went over by double digits. So there's probably no reason to believe that this is going to be a low-scoring game. It would be over or pass here.
Yeah, I mean, Miles Turner, I think he dislocated his finger in that last game there. He is still questionable, but like you had mentioned there, I mean, they closed as a 12 and a half point favorite in that game, and no Miles Turner, and who the hell knows? I think it's going to be bombs away at the Barclays anyway. So I think the over is probably a pretty good look. Well, stop the presses. Stop the presses. We've got breaking news going on right now. Yes. It is now coming across the monitors on my phone. Aaron Judge has finally hit a home run for the Yankees. Outstanding, Aaron Judge. Very nice. Oh, can we end the season now? Is that it? It's good. He finally got a home run. You overpaid. So yeah, the Yankees are up now 2-1 here against Merrill Kelly. But what's going to happen when Ohtani finally hits one too? They're probably going to break in to your televised programs here and just be like, breaking news: Ohtani is finally cashed a ticket for people with their anytime home run props. They might go like 11 games, lose their ass before he hits one here. So I wouldn't be running to the window to hurry up and back that anytime soon. But the game of the night here, guys, the Cleveland Cavaliers taking the Phoenix Suns on. This is come back towards Cleveland. 5 is what we are seeing currently right now. And we do know, of course, last night, Grayson Allen, by the way, still listed as questionable in this game. Donovan Mitchell was a late coach's scratch, I believe, last night. Does look like he's going to go in this one here. Boy, the Cavs have been going the wrong way here, RC. You think they can, and I don't like, Phoenix first game back home after that 5-game road trip. They did beat New Orleans a couple of nights ago in the last game out there. I mean, is Booker going to drop 52 again? I mean, how much faith do we have in Phoenix to cover here at home this number?
Yeah, this is actually a tough one. I mean, I have a future ticket on the Cavs, so this meltdown is kind of sucks. But I'm glad the Bucks lost yesterday. Hopefully they can turn, the Cavs can turn it around and get that division. But from a schedule standpoint, you second to back-to-back, 3rd and 4, 4th and 6, all that stuff. One thing that I could see that would benefit Cleveland is really that look ahead to Minnesota. Obviously, they're coming off of a win as a dog. That's one of those things that I like to look at. Potential letdown spot. First game home off a long road trip as well. I know they do have some rest on their side compared to Cleveland, but those situational spots are things that I look at as well. In my opinion, you're gonna have I think they rested Mitchell, for this game. Maybe he's going to be a little bit rested, more rested than some of the other guys. So I want to give the edge to the Cavs here to be able to cover the number. This could be one of those situations that they could potentially win outright. I know, obviously seeding in the West is important. Those are things that I could think of that would potentially push this towards the Cavs side. I feel like I would rather look their way than Phoenix. I just don't really trust them at this point. Obviously coming off a win, but they got wrecked by OKC. They're kind of going back and forth. They lost to the Spurs outright, 104-102. They beat Denver, then they lost to the Thunder by 25. Then they beat the Pelicans. I mean, this is a situation they're just really inconsistent. So I can't back a team like that in this spot here. But if anything, I gotta look towards the Cavs. One thing from a trend perspective, the Suns at home, 13-22 and 2 against the spread, and off of a win, 14-27 and 2 off of a win on the spread. So not great numbers from a trend perspective on the Sun side. So yeah, like I said, if I was to bet anything on this game, it would be the Cavs here.
I got Ray in the chat room says I've got Cavs Suns over 226 in my pocket. And that was my initial thought as well there, BP, because it does look for the most part that the Cavs are going to be at full strength. And maybe I'm crazy, but Grayson Allen, if he doesn't go, that's a big loss. And if he doesn't go, you ain't getting 5 with Cleveland. I'm just saying. So this, I think if you want the Cavs, go get the Cavs and get them now. But I don't hate the idea of us seeing some points here, especially with the Cavs, who have been playing without Donovan Mitchell. And they've actually had a pretty good overrun, too, if I'm not mistaken, here over the last couple of games. So, 226 and a half. I don't hate the over in this one either.
Yeah, 6 straight overs for the Cavs, Joe. If Phoenix is hitting their shots as well, then yeah, you got to like the over here. It is such a tricky handicap. I think RC hit on many of the main points here. He pulled out that trend, how poor the Suns have done when off of a win this year. And since they're returning from a long road trip, that typically is a sell sign for me on a team. But then you look at the Cavs, it is the second of a back-to-back on the road. From a line value perspective, I know Cleveland was obviously really, really banged up the last time these teams played. They were a 6.5-point dog at home. Now they're only a 5.5-point dog on the road. Obviously, the injury report dictates so much of that, so maybe that's not worth much. But it would be Cleveland or Pat for me in terms of the side. I don't hate the look at the over. The one concern I have with Cleveland is they have not won back-to-back games since late February. And so you guys both hit on how they've sort of been kind of stuck in quicksand going in reverse this last month or so. And that's absolutely bears it out. They haven't performed well off a win either. So it's two teams that haven't performed well off a win. Yeah, if Allen's out, I think maybe it's 7 straight overs for the Cavs. Although it should be pointed out, Joe, those 6 straight overs we're talking about with Cleveland, highest total for any of those games was only 218. And this number, obviously, significantly higher than that.
Yeah, don't see a lot of defense being played here. And Donovan Mitchell being back in. I think the Cavs, they're going to have to score in order to win this game. So I don't hate that look. Maybe even the team total over, too, as well. In that one. So, all right. So we got Cavs and Phoenix. There's one other game of interest on this board here tonight that I am seeing in the chat rooms. And don't forget, those of you guys joining us here today live, we certainly appreciate you coming by. If you could hit that thumbs up, we certainly would appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button. If this is your first time here, we've got plenty of great daily content coming your way each and every day here at WagerTalk TV, covering all the sports. And if you're catching this on replay, of course, you'll have the ability and the timestamps in the description there if there's a certain game that we cover. If you happen to be a fan of Hot Ass, we got a lot of that in this show here today. We've covered a lot of the disgustingness happening in the NBA. But what do we do here, guys, with OKC taking on the Celtics here at home? I'm seeing 11s now starting to pot. Well, why? Because SGA and Jalen Williams are out again. Jaylen Brown's still questionable here, but this thing is tumbling, or actually it's skyrocketing in favor of Boston here. Second of a back-to-back for OKC, but listen, I thought OKC put a good effort in that RC last night. They just came up a little bit short. No SGA again. I don't know. Are they throwing in the towel at this point? They're a half a game out of Denver for the number 1 seed. Or do you think they're being really cautious with SGA? Either way, 11 that's a big number for this team, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, it does seem like a big number with or without SGA and Jalen Williams, but you kind of touched on it. I mean, this team, put a huge effort out without those guys. And to me, I think usually we talk about, injured player theory where, the key player is injured that first game, the rest of the team steps up. Typically that second game without them, that's when they kind of revert back to where they should be. And that means, this is a game where I think Boston can probably dominate pretty easily, even with that, I know they're dealing with injuries and all that stuff too, but this might be a game where the Boston Celtics do cover this large number here. One thing that you can never kind of stay away from is that Celtics first half. They've been a strong first half team all season long, whether they're at home as a favorite, coming off of a win. Just in general, you can always back this Celtics first half and then kind of see where it goes from there. But for the most part, that would probably be the way that I go. In this game is the first half there and maybe a full game over as well. I think this is a situation where the Thunder try to run and keep up with this team, but the Celtics keep going. So Celtics first half, full game over would be the two ways that I look at this game.
Oh, well, there you go. We got a couple of different ways to approach it. BP, how about you? How are you approaching this one here?
I would have loved to take OKC with all the points because just from a motivational perspective, I mean, you guys hit on it. OKC still in play for that top seed, whereas Boston has nothing to play for. They're the top seed in the East. So, I mean, on any given night, there could just be a late regular season malaise. They're coming off it's interesting, both these ESPN games tonight, we've got the home team returning from a long road trip. The Celtics just played 6 in a row on the road, but the road team is in the second night of a back-to-back, which sort of discourages you from wanting to fade the home team in that traditional fade spot. RC hit on something that is very astute. That is Boston in the first half. Just how good has Boston been in the first half this year, guys? They are plus 15.3 points per game at home in the first half. That is a very, very impressive scoring margin over 24 minutes of play. So, if Boston's not covering early, they're covering late in this. I would look to, if you like the Boston side, I would limit yourself to the first half. OKC, I don't know. Maybe Boston kind of gets that big lead, phones it in down the stretch. So for me, I would look Boston first half or OKC full game if you like the Thunder side in that one. That is the definition of Switzerland. I'm actually really embarrassed. Let's go with Boston in the first half here. I think that's the better play. Throw it up. Throw the flag up there. Okay.
Oh, God almighty, right? I mean, jeez. Ready? We got 2 Swiss flags in the same damn show here, Robert. Unbelievable. Never thought. He is absolutely out of here there. But it should be an interesting game here. Let's see what OKC is made of. And RC, what do you got going on over at WagerTalk.com? And is there any one particular play that doesn't involve a Swiss flag for you here tonight you're thinking about? Oh, was I supposed to? Hey.
Oh, sorry about that.
There you go. I was going to say, I thought you were just messing with us. You're like, I got your Swiss flag right here.
Yeah. I got 2 plays in the association. A lot of, lately it's been tough to get these early lines just because you don't know what's going to happen with the injury report. You just got to make as best decision as you can. And I think I caught a game that shouldn't be affected by injuries. And I like the game actually early. I took a first quarter play and a first half play. And this season at WagerTalk, 70% on first half, first quarter plays combined. So most of the time I'm doing full game most of the time, but the limited time that I'm doing these first half and first quarter, I'm actually hitting at a pretty decent rate this season. MLB has been crazy. I know this is an NBA show, but I gotta talk about the baseball season so far. I think I'm on like a 11-2 run. I was like 9-0 before yesterday. Went 2-2. Things are really good in the baseball field right now. So hopefully you guys catch some of those packages on the side as well. But yeah, NBA and MLB tonight. I think there's only one MLB play left because I had some early games and then the 2 NBA for tonight.
Yeah. It's what do we got now? I got it's tied 2 apiece in that Arizona Yankee game for those that might have a little action in that game. And the Cleveland team, your favorite there, BP, just beating a snot out of Seattle here. But how about you, BP, at WagerTalk.com? And is there a play that doesn't involve a Swiss flag for you here tonight we can talk about?
Home opener, same day as the Eclipse on Monday, Joe. I know you're looking forward to that here in Cleveland. All of the while the home opener is unique to Cleveland, everybody, I believe, gets a piece of the Eclipse, if I understand that correctly. I do have a play tonight in the NBA, and much like RC, I'm kind of going with the unique look. I've got a team total is what we're looking at tonight. It is on a game that we actually didn't talk about here on the show, coincidentally enough. I am 58% with all NBA going back to last year's finals, looking to put a cap on a nice, profitable regular season here before we head into the playoffs. Final 4, obviously coming up, Joe. You've probably heard about that. I will have plays on both of Saturday's national semifinals posted on my page, wt.buzz/BP, very, very soon by tomorrow morning at the latest.
We do have a significant line move here right now, and it's crashing, and that would be the Milwaukee Bucks and the Memphis Grizzlies total is now dropped 6 points here, down to 217 and a half from a 222 and a half, 223. So it's crashing, and we know no Lillard, but we didn't think we were getting Lillard. We knew that Middleton was going to be out. Patrick Beverley also out. I mean, a horrific loss yesterday. Nobody knew in from Memphis, but the money is pouring in here, BP, on the under. I get it, but does that mean they don't have enough firepower here to get a few more points? Might have to look at the team total in that one as well, maybe for the Bucks, because they still have some dudes who can shoot the rock there.
Yeah, I don't know if Doc is going to hold up a D and a fence sign or something. It's some like feeble attempt to get his team to play hard at that end because, I don't know. I mean, that's still there. But we said it, right, when we broke down the game. What scared us off potential over was that does Memphis have the firepower here? You know, maybe the Bucks do show some pride after being just humiliated by the Wizards last night, and they do turn it up. But, very interesting. Although we see it a lot, Joe, when you have these huge moves with the total, a lot of times it's best to kind of go the other, get a good number and go the other way, play against those moves. I know a lot of guys have talked about that on the various shows, and I would co-sign that.
Yeah, and it's a little delayed, too, the way it came crashing down in that one here. The 5 games we got tomorrow are all pretty good, RC. Have you taken a look ahead at what we got coming up here? Because how much you want to make a bet? We're going to hear Embiid ain't playing, and then 2 minutes before tip-off, he's going to be like, nah, we're playing, man. We're only kidding. We're playing there. Miami and Philadelphia tomorrow. Atlanta, Dallas, the Kings, Knicks. Golden State taking on Houston, and the Clippers taking on the Nuggets. My goodness, all of those games, RC, tomorrow have implications. Now, that should be a pretty fun card here, right?
Yeah, that looks like a really good card, especially that the Rockets and the Warriors there. That's going to be an interesting game, obviously. I haven't really looked at it from a betting perspective. Some situational spots, though, you see. Yeah. We have the Rockets on the front end of back-to-back games. We have, actually a lot of these teams are on front end of back-to-backs. The Kings and Knicks are as well. Who else we have here going? The Heat, front end of back-to-back. Yeah. And we have the Clippers on the front end of back-to-back. Also, first game off a long road trip for the Clippers. So this could be a spot for the Nuggets to kind of take advantage of that. I know they're going to be on the road, and typically you don't like to back the Nuggets on the road, but I don't really like that spot there for the Clippers. Front end of back-to-back plus first game home off a long road trip. Obviously they're just coming from SAC, but typically, where they travel from, they went to Philly, Orlando, Charlotte, SAC, and then back home. So that's a tough spot for the Clippers. Maybe a early look might be a good spot to back the Nuggets if you want to take an early number. And if you're looking from a trend perspective, not sure. We'll see if what the line is. Is there a line available for that? Because if there's
not. Yeah, that's what I was just looking at too. I'm not seeing what I do have. Golden State laying 4 on the road against Houston. I'm seeing the Knicks laying 4 against Sacramento, and I'm seeing 11, which is what Dallas will be laying at home against the Hawks. I'm still not seeing anything for the Nuggets and Clippers. Are you seeing anything, BP? I don't see a number posted for that one yet, though.
I don't either. I just looked because I was like, well, I knew there were numbers posted for the other games, but no, I have an empty space where there should be a line.
I love that. Yep. I love that spot. Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, the bottom line is that card there, guys, is going to be very, very interesting here as some money coming in on the Celtics finally, or on OKC, rather. I think they drew the line in the sand at 11.5. As it hit as high as 12, and now it's back down to 11 in a lot of spots. So keep an eye on that one here, guys. And, of course, keep an eye on BP's page as well as RC over at WagerTalk.com. The guys told you, locked and loaded. RC's crushing it in Major League Baseball here already. BP locked and loaded for the Final Four. We got a lot of disgusting games here in the NBA, but those games tomorrow look pretty appetizing. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button and make plans to come back and join us again tomorrow, as we'll have plenty more here breaking down those great NBA games finally. Plus, a lot of afternoon day baseball tomorrow here. You want to tune in early, guys, and we certainly appreciate you hanging. Listen, best of luck to those of you in the chat room, Instagram, Owens, Rock, Desert Sports Betting. We appreciate you guys coming in. Hit that subscribe button on the way out and make plans to come back and join us again tomorrow for another afternoon update here on Wager Talk TV. Best of luck.